back. And the people who performed sit-ups as part of their actual training stayed out almost exactly twice as long as the people who did not do sit-ups.
Okay, so how often would you say? So would you say it doesn't occur too often?
As far as injuries?
Yeah.
Once again, it's difficult in the effect that it's like if you do one sit-up here, is that going to necessarily harm your back? If 1,000 people did that right here, right now, probably you're going to end up with a very small percentage. But if we talk an entire lifetime of someone doing sit-ups, I'm going to say that it's actually a fairly high percentage.
Well, I had a lot of fun sitting down and talking with people. I actually had quite a few that agreed with me that didn't sit down with me, and a few that just didn't want to. But I'd like to share just a couple of the interviews right now, and I'll share a couple more later. Enjoy.
What's up, man? Great, how are you?
All right.
Do you agree or disagree?
Sit-ups are bad.
Sit-ups are bad.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they kind of mess up your back after a while, but after doing them enough, I feel like I've done irreparable damage, so it doesn't matter anyway.
So you're just going to create more damage? Do you want to have
At this point, it's not really doing much, so, you know.
Not much worse, or?
Well, yeah, it's not really hurting them more. Like, when I was doing them at first, like, I would notice my back would hurt a bit, like at the, bottom area, but anymore, not really. I guess I got more used to them.
Okay. You want to sit down and talk about it? You're not on the camera now.
I only have a couple of minutes, but...
What about after class, or? Okay, if you have time.
I don't really have a huge stance against it or for it, I suppose, but, whatever.
That's all right. What's your name?
My name's Donte.
Donte?
Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. You okay with me doing the interview?
Yeah, sure.
And using my stuff for YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sit-ups are bad. You don't completely disagree with me, but just reiterate what your stance is on this.
Well, believe it or not, I actually work out a little bit, even as skinny as I am, and I'd like to do body workouts like push-ups and sit-ups, and I think I've gotten pretty good at both of those, but the thing with sit-ups is I don't know if it works out your core as much as, like it's supposed to, but I don't think it's a terrible exercise.
Okay.
So
what is the purpose of doing sit-ups in your mind?
It's supposed to be to strengthen your core, but...
Okay, define core for me.
Like the abs area and I don't know what you call the other muscles, but just the whole stomach area.
So all the stomach muscles. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're performing a sit-up, you have quite a few different muscles in there. So you have the rectus abdominis that crouches you in a crunch. You have the obliques that twist you about 15 degrees in either direction. And then you have the transversus abdominis, we can call it transverse to make it easy, that is the deepest muscle that's more like a balance muscle, keeps you balanced. So which of those do you think work during the sit-up and when during the actual movement?
Probably the one that you said was the pulling muscle.
The curl? Like
yeah.
The crunch one? That actually only works at the very top of the sit-up.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Doesn't really work much at the actual bottom of that because you're working mostly that transverse as far as the functionality goes, so the deeper one, which is actually the better one to work, but the question then becomes, is it effective?
I have no clue, really. I mean, sometimes my ab will be burning after, but a lot of it depends on the form, I suppose. But
so what's the purpose of working the core?
I would suppose just get stronger, maybe get abs,
So either get the six-pack or to get stronger, how?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure what the use of the core is. I know a lot of our muscles use, a bunch of different areas to pull on things. Like if you're just moving your arm like this, you're using a lot of muscles just to make that pulling function happen. So I'd assume if ever we're bending down, maybe if we're even picking something up, even while lifting with our legs or, just doing whatever, I would assume that it strengthens your core for what other daily tasks you might be performing.
Well, you're correct. And even any squat even actually uses the core. And they've done tests to figure out that squats actually can work just as much of the core as doing core exercises, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. So that begs the question, is there something better that we can do? And also, is it safe? Because you always have to measure the efficacy with the safety of everything that you're doing. So is it a safe exercise?
Well, I mean, I know that I've definitely gotten some back pain from doing it, so I can't attest that it's 100% safe, but I think it's done some for my abdomen area.
So it does definitely work your abdominal muscles, so you will get stronger. So the question is, if you can get stronger doing something else that's even more effective, that's also much safer, wouldn't that be the best of both worlds?
Oh yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Okay, so the sit-ups, I'm going to argue, are not safe for the reasons that you have to curl your spine in order to perform a sit-up, which actually stretches all of your spinal stabilizing muscles, which also have to work at that exact same time in order to stabilize the spine, which becomes a problem because then the stress has to transfer to the actual ligaments as well as the intervertebral discs. So anytime you add stress to something like that, you're basically degrading it very slowly. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Following me? I know that was kind of...
I know a little bit about biology, but
Excellent.
And anatomy, I suppose.
So that I would argue with that, if because it is a dangerous exercise, if the efficiency of it were amazing and it didn't really matter, then we could go with it anyway, because it's there's an ultimate risk to doing any exercise at all, right? So the question is it small enough risk to really matter? So interestingly enough, there's a 2009 study from the Journal of Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise, where they actually looked at Army participants with sit-ups versus doing no sit-up core exercises to test if they could do sit-ups better by doing one or the other. So they tested whether they could do sit-ups better by practicing sit-ups, or if they could do sit-ups better by not practicing sit-ups. So which of those seems like rationally?
It seemed like the people who did the sit-ups while practicing, but if I had to guess, it would be the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. It was very surprising to the entire community that the people who did not ever practice sit-ups actually outperformed the people with their PT tests in the Army than the people who actually practice sit-ups. So that kind of, blows your mind on, well, what's the efficiency of it? That shows that it's not as efficient.
Yeah, probably not great.
So what other exercises can you do? I don't want to leave you with the idea, go do squats and you'll be fine. What other abdominal specific core exercises can you think of when we're talking about that?
There's like leg lifts and flutter kicks, I think. You can do like the ones where you, what do you call them, the Russian twists or whatever.
Okay, now would you do that? Well, let's talk about both of those. We'll start with the Russian twist. Would you do that standing or seated?
Seated.
Okay, I would never do that seated. If you actually rotate your spine, lumbar spine, with your hip in a stable position, that puts a tremendous amount of actual stress on the lumbar. It's not supposed to actually twist very far.
Ooh, wow, okay.
So standing, you could make an argument that can work. However, once again, the obliques only twist 15 degrees. So if you're twisting all the way over in order to attempt to get more, that's not actually more efficient. That's just wasting movement.
It's pretty tough,
So let's talk about your flutter kicks, right? Leg lifts, things like that. So those actually work the transverse, and I would argue they work the transverse better than sit-ups. So that's a good call, actually, mentioning those. Yeah. However, you still have to be careful where if you flatten your back on the ground and you start with your feet from the ground and lift up, that can stress the back similarly to actual sit-ups. So I would actually start with your knees bent and, go down to a level that your abs can actually handle, and then go back up from there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yep. Have you ever done a plank exercise?
Yeah.
Just on the ground or any other method?
Mostly just on the ground. Sometimes I'd have maybe my feet or whatever elevated, but pretty much just normal planks.
Okay. So you've never done one on a stability ball or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So I invite you to attempt it on a stability ball where you hold your elbows kind of out a little bit, and tell me if that's a harder workout than what you've ever done with your abs. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. If that is super easy for you, I have a lot of other more difficult ones that you've probably never heard of.
I bet. Is that like one of the balls that is like the half ball, or just like the full ball?
That's a Bosu. The half ball is the Bosu. So the one I'm referring to is like the 65 centimeter large ball, one of those.
It's got to be pretty hard for balance, I'm guessing.
Which the core keeps you balanced. That's what I would argue.
So you're not like moving your spine around.
You're preventing the falling of your body, essentially, which is what the core does.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
So have I convinced you to not do sit-ups? because you haven't convinced me to do sit-ups.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't argue that anybody does sit-ups because, I mean, I know it's just going to hurt your back some. So,
Right.
yeah, I'd recommend doing other things that work for you. I think some of the, like, leg lifts or, like, even the, oh my gosh, I just forgot what you call them, but, you know, where you're on the ground. You know, those ones are the best, I think, to work out your core. So, yeah, I think I would say you have, you know. Changed my mind.
All right, sounds great. Well, thanks a lot for talking with me. I appreciate it. And check it out, and it'll be
Fun.
Yeah.
I got to
It
get
was
to class.
Dante?
Yes, sir.
All right, nice to meet you, Dante. Grab a card, man.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So you can check it out later. Yeah, you want to come over here?
Yeah, what are you doing, man?
Do you agree or disagree with that? Sit-ups are bad.
I do agree with that.
You agree that they're bad?
Yeah.
You want to sit down and talk about it?
Sure.
What's your name?
Cody?
Cody?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Cody. You mind if I interview you?
No, I
Mike and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. So, basically, my contention is sit-ups are bad, and you said you agree. So,
Well, I know for like, I don't like sit-ups just because like I used to do them and they would like really hurt my lower back. So I looked up like, you know, workouts that could actually like help with that. And what I found was that what you should actually do is get like a pull-up bar and do leg ups, basically.
it's basically what the Army just switched to, is what you're saying, where they bring their knees up to their elbows.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's like, I had way better results with that. It eliminated my back pain and stuff, and it also like filled out my lower portion of abs, which I like never really could get going. So I tell people actually not to do sit-ups if they're trying to get abs.
Very nice, very nice. So you had back pain for like while you're doing them or after?
I have like I'm really skinny, so I got really like tight hip flexors and stuff. So yeah, when I was doing sit-ups, it just kind of made that even worse. So I was like looking for what I could do to get away from that, and there are there's even more exercises than just the leg ups that are actually better. Like I used to do like if you have like a I think they're resistance pulleys, you know, like the things that you like.
The TRX?
Yeah, TRX things. You can do a bunch of exercises with those too. You know, like get down and do a push-up position and
Put your feet in the little handles. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of different core things you could do on top of it. So do you have any idea why it's bad for your back?
No, not exactly. I know that it doesn't like it like pulls on certain muscles while like you're but I don't really know for sure, to be honest.
Yeah, you're pretty close right there. Basically, what you have to do in order to perform a sit-up with your spine, you have to curve it, right? Yeah. So curving your spine ends up stretching the spinal stabilizing muscles that you need in order to stabilize the spine while you need to stabilize the spine.
So it's just kind of redundant back and forth, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously the stress has to go somewhere, so where's the stress go? Correct.
Yeah.
So you end up putting the stress on your ligaments, you put it on the intervertebral discs, and that ends up causing the back pain.
Cool. Yeah.
So it's very cool that you actually figured that out on your own.
No, it just was kind of an issue for me, and like I used to watch a bunch of YouTube videos on calisthenics and fitness because that's my main workout routine is, you know, push-ups and sit-ups. Well, not sit-ups anymore, but yeah.
Used to be.
Yeah, exactly. So.
How long did you do sit-ups for before you ended up stopping?
It was like about 6 months, maybe longer. And then when I first started doing the leg ups, I thought it was going to be easier because, you know, like I'd already been doing sit-ups. But what you like really find out is that it like when you're doing sit-ups, it actually doesn't work out your like lower abdominal area at all. So when you do the leg ups, it was actually basically like I had never, you know, done any workouts.
Never worked that rectus abdominis down there.
Exactly. So it was actually a really good find for me, honestly. I was really happy to figure it out. So yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks for sitting down with me and talking. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And check out the YouTube video, and I'll throw up your interview. Thanks.
For sure, man.
It was Cody?
Yeah, Cody.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, comments of your own, if you want to take part in one of our next ones, have a lot of different topics to cover, make sure to check out our website, SeanRuinsFitness.com. Leave a comment, like, share, all that good stuff. Subscribe. Thanks, and enjoy.